right? Which as you start looking at these larger time frame trends, this is actually right here. This swing up here. Yes, fine. That's the first break that creates this right here, which creates this down here, which is still in distribution because it still needs to break out of this trend here, right? Like this swing to this swing. And this is where you, come on. And that like that, because they're all fractal within each other, right? All these trends are all fractal within each other. There's all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cycles happening all over the chart on every time frame, on all coins, right? So here we'll do it on OST, and then we're going to stop this and come back to it. For example, you'd have trend like this, or high to high. We'll keep it simple for this. We'll go high to high, right? This has to back attack this valley. So in this moment, when this was created, the very first thing would be, and we can draw our supports, that's fine. So let's draw some supports here. We've got this here, we've got this one here, we've got that one there. We actually have one there too, but we'll just go with this one here. We have that one there. We have this one here. Oops. We have that there. We have that there. We have that will move to there, and this will move to here. So like this is going to try to catch one of these levels as it is right now to break trend. And trend doesn't exist in this moment yet. Actually, technically it does. Actually, technically it's a very sharp trend right here, which will probably have a reaction, which it does. It fails, right? So this was obviously not able to support the move, and we can just step forward, right? It tried to catch there. That's not able to support the move. So what this is doing right now is this is in a distribution cycle. So 1 is the distribution that happens. 2 is where it's going to have to try to hold one of these levels to fuel the attempt of breaking trend and back attacking the valley that created it. That will therefore create your trend for 3, this being 3. And if this is a level that's held, that means it's going to have to come and hold something in here, therefore not invalidating the trend, right? It can invalidate the trend. It can actually come here until it breaks here, but it's just not as strong of a move. That's not an uptrend then. This is not an uptrend. This is just a level holding. That would be a different outcome as if it was to come here, hold some kind of level break. This is technically an uptrend. That's creating that wedge pattern, right? Yeah, that squeeze that we all love to see and hate it because it always fails when we enter. So then in this moment, this would be trying to back attack this valley right here, right? And just disregard the other levels. They're meaningless right now. And upon it not being able to back attack that valley, that's failure. That is failure on the move, which is just, instead of creating a 3, it's just pulling out your 1. So instead of creating a 3, that's the reaction that happens. 1 becomes 1 over here, because this is technically a ladder down, which invalidates the move up. And if you're laddering down, the downtrend is not done yet. Walk through this for a second, and then you see it tries to hold support there. It can't. Fine, invalidates the move. It is trying to find a support to hold to attempt to break this move, right? And so we can just kind of before we step through this, just. Actually, we can move this to here now instead, which is the valley it would have to back attack. And you can see there's a fractal valley in here. Like there's probably something on the 1 hour happening in here as to why you see it fall so short against trend. But nevertheless, we can't go there because of the replayer tools limitation. So this will have been trying to create a back attack on the valley that brought it there, right? It's trying to hold against trend. It does, but now in this moment, it has to attack this valley that brought it there. Otherwise, if it's failing, it's still laddering down, right? Which you can see, that's exactly what happens. It's still just laddering down off of the move. There we go, nice. And then you simply just, and that's how, Yikes, trading view. And that's how you see how trends are formed and created. Because like, again, anybody can just draw this trend and be like, oh, swing high to swing high. But how did it get there? Because that information in the past is useless unless you guys can draw this in the moment and see the future with it. It doesn't matter, right? It's kind of just like great information to have, but useless if you don't know how to make it work. Like the my famous thing I always say is the conceptually, this stuff is very simple. The execution is another thing completely different. The execution of these effects in the moment are the constant analytics and analysis of these charts and creating these rules and defining them and recreating them and adjusting them and moving them, right? In this moment, I simply know I need to break trend. And if I'm in this trade, I need to, in a 100% fashion, back attack this 432 level and sell this 432 level, regardless of the outcome. This has to be sold this level. And I'm going to delete this because this one's not important right now. That's obviously, and you can see the support we're trying to hold from the past to break trend. There it is right there, the failure. And there's right here. So that would have frayed out to here in that moment. And you can see where it breaks trend to back attack this level. This is now starting what can be the end of distribution if it can continue to ladder up now. So this moment is where you would do this and have the next trend it has to hold to break. This becomes a testament to holding levels, just like back here, how, oops, it's really not oops, it's trading view being fun. Just like how back here, you are trying to hold the level here in this larger part of the move here, you are now doing the same thing here, trying to hold this part of the move back here. So in this moment, you'd be trying to hold the level to ladder up, right? To break the new trend that was created. And you can see it tries right there and it fails down. And this is just more failure in the move, right? So this is just, again, not being able to break the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cycle. This is attempting to back attack valleys. And this is why we always sell this valley that back attacks, because this is the reward for catching the falling knife. If you've identified this is the correct level, which you should have, it's a correct level for a very obvious reason, but not so obvious because we haven't talked about that, but another workshop, another time. This is a very obvious purchase. This is a very obvious sell. When you sell this will reject 100% of the time. Now, if you sell this, that doesn't mean you can't rebuy and sell up here and volume cycle your position. That doesn't mean you can't use the same principle of buying this valley here and re-injecting capital here to go after the next valley, to sell here, to let this fall, because that's an uptrend, right? That's the creation of an uptrend, which is this wedge. So now all you're doing is buying and selling the bottom and the top of the wedge before it's even existing, right? Because that would be the exact same thing as if this move were to continue up, which is selling at every single valley and rebuying every single ladder, right? That would be that same squeeze that you're getting into this level, which then you would sell this level, furthering this wedge out however it goes. And then, as long as this, because this is the ladder up now, right? This is the uptrend, this is laddering up. So laddering is a very advanced topic that has a lot of outcomes. And you guys are starting to probably now see the cause and effect of the difference between something like the advanced course and now what we're getting into now, which is dissecting moves in a much deeper light. It is not, drawing a level and just picking a buy and a sell spot arbitrarily, because there is, as you can see, the advanced course, as great as it is, it doesn't answer the questions of, okay, how can I actually turn this knowledge into making money? Because there's this part of these markets that, although the advanced course is great, it just scratches the surface. And even this just scratches the surface as a preset to the harder information in the workshops to come, right? So this right now is trying to attempt to create the swing, right? So that's where I think some people will not see it, because we're still fractal time frame wise. This could just be the first weekly close, just because this has push through doesn't mean we need to have an immediate reaction. This is going to be that point that creates that, right? This just becomes the ending of distribution. You are still floating through the level. This doesn't become, oh, we floated through the level, there's no reaction, what's going on? Well, this is an accumulation zone. This is just fractally. It's like if you had a 15-minute candle, this thing would look like it's a mile long, right? It would look like it never ended. And it's like, holy crap, look how long we broke trend ago. But actually, this is small time frame relevant to, what is it, September 12th from May 10th. This is a relatively small time frame in comparison to how long this trend has been going. So this still has to either hold this level down here, and we can delete this, that's not relevant. It either has to hold this level here an attempt to break this, and this is trying to complete that micro time frame in here. So if we broke this down, you'd see that same distribution cycle from what would have been here to here, which also has another distribution cycle of here to here, right? So this is trying to just confirm the end of the legacy one, right? As it breaks these other fractal trends to try to regain the valley, in which it doesn't, it fails. Therefore, extending this out to here, and having these adaptive trends, and how trend is constantly adjusting, and you never really can, you could draw a million trends on your chart, but it's like, okay, which one is the correct trend, right? It's trying to do the same thing here. So the valley is right here. Let's get rid of some of these other ones. This is not, well, okay, we could keep those ones. We don't need these though. This one is still relevant. That's a local trend. We'll zoom in here. So this is that same thing. You catch the falling knife, the valley becomes that's it. That's a huge misconception, right? Catch a falling knife, the reward is trend. It's not to the moon and back. It's not, you're not creating some insane event where it's just to the moon and back, right? Now you've created that uptrend that I talked about, this laddering up. So now you're attempting to attack the larger valleys up here. This is really where I should stop because we need to talk about this, but I keep just going past it. But that's fine. We will in a sec. We'll take a break. I need to get another coffee, and then we'll go on to, we'll come back to this because this is a pretty nominal outlook on it. It's not very in depth yet, but it will be. But we do need to discuss the effects of time. That lovely wedge that we always create. Right, that lovely wedge against distribution. We always seem to create this beautiful wedge, which also has its own 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cycles in it. Again, we won't worry about that right now. And so forth to the higher valleys. So we'll leave it there because we need to talk about the effect of time. And in this moment, actually, there is one more thing we can do here to kind of cap this off for now. The break of this is creating, obviously, these trends in here, trend here against that, trend there, right here against that, trend here against that. And that becomes the cycle of kind of this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 breakout. So let's just draw those as our last thing here. So 1, and we'll use the same colors. That would have been 1. This is kind of confirming the break up, right? So that would have been the 3 right there. I'm going to get rid of some of the stuff on the screen so we can see it a little easier. We've had this moment where we've finally ended this distribution cycle in order to attack those valleys that brought us there, right? So actually we do need this one to attack this valley that brought us here. The attack of this creates that 3, which gives us our next part of this move, which is now uptrending, right? Which is right here. That's the swing that needs to break, which is creating this here. So you guys can see as you step through this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, how the move is becoming larger, right? How the move is becoming, even if you were to go here as a step before it and forget all this other stuff, right? Right here, right here, right here, pull the replayer back to this point here, and you can see how these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are created. And then when you start breaking them, the uptrend and the reaction. So that would have been that created right here, right? Break that, it will come up and attack the valley. That's actually relevant on a different time frame. That would have been this level here on this time frame, breaking out of this valley that was created. So we won't mark that for this because it's getting a little bit too complex for what we're talking about. So we'll just mark out the easy ones. 1, 2, back attack the valley here, which is 3, have the next swing created, which ends up being the attack of the upper valley, which is 4. So when we break this, we'll have our 5, which is typically breakout or close to it. But as it should be, because it's creating the ladder, right? Breakout there, and this would be the final swing to break out, which is also confirming the move. If you guys remember in the advanced videos, I commonly talk about kind of this thing that happens where you break over top of a level like this, right? You test the level like this, break over top of it, confirm it to bounce off of it like that. That's why you see that, because this is confirming the cycles of distribution to end. You get a moment like this where you break over top of it, you confirm that kind of that last break here, and you just soar over top of it. This is so common. This happens all the time. This is like, but again, don't remember hard set rules. Understand the theory as to why these things happen. As soon as this thing confirms over trend, it's gone. But we already know that because we kind of cheated and stepped forward. But this would be that moment. So it touches trend. It has that huge reaction to it, right? That's that same thing I talk about in the advanced videos where you have test, 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 bounce, break, right? But that's why, because it's testing these cycles 4, 5, 6, 7. But it gets to this point where there's a big difference between, like, there's an arc that happens here. There's a big difference between, let's just clear these. We don't need that. There's a big difference on what would have been here to break that level. There's a big difference from this side to this side. There's an arc that happens, right? Almost like momentum, if you would have it in a very basic term, momentum and all these trends that are breaking from the confirmation of the ending of distribution, right? Like that's the key thing here is how do you see the end of distribution? How do you confirm the ending of distribution? Well, it starts right here. You back attack the valley and you start a laddering up, right? Which invalidates the laddering down. But then this moment here where you go over top, test and bounce up, that's the side of the arc because it's gone through the cycle of distribution, which has turned into accumulation. This 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cycle of distribution ending, and how you can confirm that end. Dent is a very popular one that this happens on all the time. This is what I like charting Dent for this reason. If you look at Dent, this is kind of cheating because it's like a preset example, but that's okay. These low sat coins follow this to T. Like there's no, it's disgusting how much they follow it. The valley on Dent. What are we on, a daily time frame? Let's go to a 4 hour. You know what? No, let's stay on the daily. Let's just try to spot it out on the daily. That's fine. This is what has to break. So that's fine. Floats through, creates this point right here, which would be this guy here. Creates the next attack of that valley out here, breaks that, and it's gone, right? Oops. It's how distribution, and this is a very basic way to look at it, right? Like this is an easy one to do because you have this distribution trend that's floating through the attempted hold of a level. And we'll turn this one a different color so it's a little cleaner. I don't know, let's use purple, sure. So it's attempting to hold a level, right? Strip all this away. Right, it's attempting to hold a level, or it has distribution that needs to end, right? So you would simply strip this back to here, right? You have this idea of distribution that's trying to end, and put this properly right on the nose. Close enough, fine. You have distribution that's trying to end. You have the trend that brought it there, right? So this is what you have to back attack in order to not be laddering down. Daily, we'll make that like that, make it nice and thin. Quite simply, you break through trend. You have the creation of, this was never blue, this should have been green. You have the creation of your next swing point, right, which is now blue. Break it, you have the attempt at that, which then gives you breakout. Same thing as what we looked at on the other coin. That gives you breakout, right? Like this is a very, so I like charting Dent after because this is a very straightforward example as to accumulation distribution cycle. Like to see it on a very easy landscape, even on a low sat coin, the valley that brought you there, the breaking and attempting of that, which creates a long-term ladder, right? It creates this, which tells you something else on the charts, but which then would be attempting to attack that valley against the larger time frame this is now, oops, let's do this. This one doesn't exist in this moment, but therefore what does exist is this, right? Something like this, or technically it would be this one in this moment. Until that point in which it would be over here. But that's something completely different. That's something completely different.
Hey everyone, how's it going? As you know, I'm now giving out some of this content for free that I was otherwise charging for the past little while. Yeah, drop a donation, subscribe to the channel, join Patreon. You'll get access to Discord. Great way. Lots of top level traders in there, people who are doing this for a career every single day. So go to Patreon, join a tier, get access to Discord. Go on Reddit, talk about future of trading, talk about the science of trading, talk about cotton candy, socials, everything you can. Let's help this thing grow. It's the way you guys can thank me for giving out this content for free that I was otherwise charging money for. So I'll leave a Bitcoin address on the screen. I'll leave the Patreon address on the screen. Just do something to help out. Okay, thanks guys. Take care.